Doo-doo, doo-doo. That's the angle. Doo-doo,
what?
doo-doo. That's the podcast.
You already know, man.
Go,
Holy shit, dude. This is some really cool.
I just posted
What is
that.
this? Finally, the Chair's collab pin with you. Oh,
That's in North
nice.
Carolina right now.
Damn, that's fire.
Yeah, man.
Who's that collab with?
It's a company in North Carolina called Munjo.
Yeah.
It's a company based off of a Pomeranian
Okay.
that lives in North Carolina. That he's like a celebrity.
Okay.
So it's owned by two artists, right? And they own the dog, and they own the brand. And so it works as they take him around. It's Raleigh, by the way, specific.
Okay.
And now there's a pop-up store downtown right now. It's been up for almost half a year.
Wow.
In the dog's namesake. Yeah.
So you just collabed with a random store and now you made a pin with them?
Well, so what happened was I was hired to do murals in North Carolina last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? This is a crazy situation. So you see the mural behind that, right?
Yeah.
It's like a picture of a mural behind the pin.
Uh-huh.
So I painted my favorite mural. And I was scouting a place. And I'm mad random. So it was a hard view. Imagine me doing a 20-foot mural, but the wall, the distance between the mural and how far I could stand back is this big.
Oh, you have limited space as far as how much you can even look. You can't.
Yeah, I can't see it, right? So I went up the steps around and climbed up a parking lot around a building to look at it.
That's crazy.
And then I jumped down and I swear I broke my leg, right?
What?
So these two artists put me up in their house. So I was healing while I was trying to paint this mural. I had to put my foot on top of the back of a chair because it was hurting so bad, bro. So they really we became really close because of this experience, and they're dope. So they happen to have this dog in the house, this Pomeranian.
Yeah.
And he would come mug me and shit like that because he's like a king. And that's when I'm looking around the house and they have all these dope cutouts and crazy things, and I'm asking what's the brand is named after him? And as I learned, it's we go around the town and he's a local celebrity.
The dog?
The dog, yeah, and the brand's named after him.
That's crazy.
It's dope. So that's who I collabed with, and Amber and Jamie, they're dope. One of them is a band photographer, and he goes on tours with big bands, and then he shoots for them, and he does a lot of graphic design for the Used and all these bands, right?
Damn. Well, huge shout out Amber and Jamie. I mean,
yeah, they're dope.
They help you get here, and now you're here.
And Munjo, they put up with me. I was a random artist in town, and I broke my leg.
And that's in North Carolina?
In Raleigh, North Carolina.
Dude, that's crazy. What's even crazier is something that needs to be said, dude, is the last time we did this interview was a year ago.
Which is crazy.
A year ago this month.
Because, the way I remember that interview, I haven't looked at it in a while, right? But the way I remember it is I swear I must have known something was about to happen here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like I was talking about, I was expecting all that to happen. But when I'm looking back, I'm January? I wasn't doing anything with PBR. I wasn't here yet. I just happened to be here. I'm what? How did that, you know what I mean?
Well, it was an interesting time because you came back to the area and I was introduced to you, and people looking at you could tell that something's going on with this guy. He's got something special. He's got some sort of zest because he's coming from another city and he's from D.C. And you could tell there was some professionalism there. Something was about to happen that just hadn't happened yet, but also something that we hadn't yet seen in the area. I remember doing that interview and be damn, things might get crazy, and things got fucking
That's
crazy.
Wild, but you know, my memory of it is that we had that interview because we knew everything was getting crazy because all that had started, and I'm no, it's before it started.
Yeah.
So you're right. There was an intuition because even the way I remember it is I must have only done that interview because I knew stuff was happening. But nah, it's we were just early on it. I don't know, that was nuts.
Well, that interview is interesting because I felt that interview, you really had to get some shit off your chest and to kind of talk about your experiences up until then. And it was super useful to get to know you and figure out what you were thinking about and your approach and everything you had been through to get to the point where you came back home and now you're ready to put on. And I remember talking in the interview and we were saying stuff yeah, we feel like there's something bubbling up. We feel like something's happening. Well, dude, it's happening now.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's fucking happening, and so
right.
much has happened, but what the fuck has happened? What has happened, dude?
It's wild because like I swear like I started like doing certain things I want to say in like April, May. I really didn't know how much I could get away with until Flower Bomb, right? Because it was a random idea, and I didn't really tell people what I was doing.
That was the New York experience, right?
No, Flower Bomb was the thing I did here, the music festival.
The
DuPont Underground.
Okay, DuPont Underground. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So, and you know, like we got over like what 4,000 RSVPs and over 2,000 people end up showing up.
No fucking way.
Yeah, and PBR sent the art director. Like he was there, just helping hang, and he's mad cool. But it was just like he knew, but I don't think that whole company even knew. Like you know what I mean? Like I may have big ideas, but I keep them close to me because I don't want to get other people's expectations high in case it's not what I think it is, right? Because I don't have no guarantees, right? So at that point when I did that, then I knew like, oh, like we could really do a lot.
Yeah, but the Flower Bomb Festival was that like the first big event you produced? When coming back, do you feel like that was like the first big event that happened and sort of started popping things off? I mean, maybe it did or not, because I remember there was some run up until that.
Yeah, there was stuff before.
There was a lot of run up into that, but the Flower Bomb event in general was super epic because it felt underground. It had the vibe. You highlighted some artists, and probably even more so than yourself, but you created this like really cool sort of ambiance of art and music and PBR.
Yeah. Well, thanks to them, you know what I mean. And that's what I mean. Like, so my memory of this past year is like, oh, I did that interview with Bruce, and then we talked about everything happening, and we just started doing it. And it's like, no, because I did an interview with you in January. I didn't start working with PBR and like agree to that situation until March.
Really?
Yeah, which is wild because I which is what brought me back to the area, because they were like, yo, we'll do this with you if you gotta go, and you know what I mean. I had to be back here to do it, which is
in a way I feel like the PBR partnership really helped catapult you last year.
Yeah, but that's
is that accurate?
100%, because it's like, you know, it's resources, bro, and it's not just that, the way they work, and I feel like as I keep working. They like certain people told me in the company like you're doing exactly what we want to do, but that's like without them telling me what to do. You know what I mean? So they're like, yo, there's a good synchronicity. Just keep going. That's really the message, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't, but of course I don't start off knowing that. I'm like, I want to move back home. I didn't even realize that by the time I'm talking to you, I didn't even live here yet. How nuts is that? I was just here.
Damn.
And I didn't really have a set time. I was supposed to be in New York.
That's so cool. I need to turn down the headphones real quick.
Yeah,
They're
no worries,
fucking
no worries.
loud.
It's cool.
All right, good, because we're about to be rapping, and I don't want to be to it sound like you're yelling in my ear. That's much more
I'm
comfortable.
yelling at you, man. I'm angry. I'm
good, but we
pissed
can
off.
yell. I'm
fucking pissed off. Oh, you know what? I'm not cursing in 2020.
Oh, well, you already fucked up.
I fucked up 2020. Hashtag.
Well, dude, it's like you came out the gate 2019 full of piss and vinegar, because it's like the PBR partnership really gave you the funding or the help or the infrastructure to really help execute on all these ideas.
Yeah. And you know, I wouldn't even call it infrastructure, right? Because even what I'm doing with them right now, they don't put a guideline in front of me. There's no like the stuff I know I'm gonna do this year.
Yeah,
I haven't even communicated yet. Like, it's just trust, right? Which is crazy. You wouldn't expect this, right? But the way that company works is in March, when they first brought me in, it was like we were in Colorado. They flew me out to Colorado, right? And I'm talking about, bro, this is crazy, right? Because I'm here talking to you that time.
Yeah,
I had been hanging around that studio, right?
Yeah.
I had no clue I would end up in that studio. None of these ideas, right? So hanging around that studio, just like kind of getting a little inspired by like, oh shit, I kind of like being back home. It's actually welcoming to art. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that when I left. And I'm hanging with my sisters. I'm hanging at her house playing video games with my nephews. My niece likes to draw. She's a little kid, so I'm helping her. We're drawing. So I'm like getting some family time. You know what I mean? I had been gone for so long, New York and Miami, that like I didn't even realize to value that shit. You know what I mean? Or that stuff, right? You know what I mean? So you gotta hold me to this no cursing, man.
I'm not gonna hold you because I can't hold myself to it. So I can't hold someone else to a standard I can't do.
But everybody join me. No cursing 2020.
Yeah, sure.
No fucking cursing 2020. Come on, you can fucking do it. But
Wait. Why the no cursing though?
I really don't have no other resolutions to give myself.
No, but why do you not want to curse?
Well, because like I need a resolution, right?
You don't need one.
Yeah, I do. I feel like that's the fun of the year. Like,
bro, if your resolution is to not curse, then your life's going pretty well.
that's what I mean. Like, the resolutions I have are like, why not? Fuck it. Just challenge yourself to something. You know what I mean?
I mean, one of my resolutions is to salsa dance. So, I mean.
Okay, that's dope.
You know?
That's dope. Okay. How are you with that? How far are you with that?
I'm trash. I actually have my first salsa lesson later tonight. Pretty excited.
Oh, today. So this is a big day. You starting your resolution. What is this? What January? What 6, 7?
7, something.
Okay, yeah. So, all right, you're 5 days.
Yeah,
6
whatever.
days.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
End of the year and be a salsa master.
I don't know. End of the year, you probably gonna give up like everybody else does on their resolutions. I'm gonna be cursing like a sailor.
Yeah, right. For end of the year, I'm gonna be swinging some hot ass Latina chicks around at the clubs.
Okay. I feel it.
No, I just want to do that for myself though. But
for yourself, self-love,
self-love.
self-empowerment.
Yeah, yeah, baby.
I feel it. Hashtag self-love 2020.
Yeah, you gotta get
no
the hips,
cursing 2020, salsa dancing 2020. Let's go.
Yeah, you'd be you can't dirty talk off the salsa dance, but it'd be cool.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
But dude, back in this PBR thing, because I feel like that was just. It seems pretty quintessential to everything you did last year, and you probably would have done it without them. But it definitely seems
it would have been slower.
It definitely seems like they helped.
It would have trickled. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, or it would have been a lot of like me pushing decks to companies to try to figure it out, right? Because I did already know that format. You know what I mean? From traveling around, from working with like Adidas, all these people, I knew like, I need to like work with the company for this. It's just, I wouldn't even be here without them. They like paid me to come back here.
Oh wow.
They were like, yo, like, basically, we want you to run the creative marketing here, like the marketing, you know what I mean, and the local marketing. So, I didn't really know what that looked like. When I went to Denver, right? That was the first thing that happened. So they flew me to Denver, and this is so nuts, bro. So, again, I did the interview with you. I'm hanging around D.C., but I have a residency in New York at the time. And I had been neglecting it because I was like, yo, I really like being home, right? So it all started when I went to Toronto around Christmas time last year, and I would use these trips. I was working with the agency, shout out to Maria, working with an agency who puts me with these big brands. I do installations, right? So that's how I work with Yeezy and Adidas, like painting on these shoes. So I would I would get a two-way ticket. I can book it. I can book my ticket, right? So I would use it to travel. So like, let's say I got to go to Toronto, but I want to go back home. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to Toronto, get paid, and then I'll book my ticket back to DC. Instead of New York. So I would use this to travel a lot.
That's
right?
That's the finesse right there.
And you get paid it's like getting paid, and you don't have to you don't have to buy your ticket. You know what I mean?
That's the best part. Travel's the worst part.
Exactly. So what happened was I ended up in Toronto last Christmas on accident because I flew in there, ended up in the wrong place because some travel issues. I ended up in Montreal, right? I was supposed to be in Toronto. And so I had layovers, and then I ended up missing Christmas. I got stuck in Toronto for Christmas.
Oof.
And my resolution was, my scheme was I took the residency in New York to be closer to D.C. So I can like, all right, man, I'm trying to be mature. I'm trying to grow with like time, right? So I need to like get closer to my family.
Yeah.
So that's why I took the residency in 2018, right? So Christmas 2018, instead of going back to New York, I just took the flight from Toronto to D.C., but I ended up missing all of Christmas.
And that's how we met in January.
Right.
Because you took that flight back.
And because I missed Christmas, because I got stuck in Toronto.
So you're staying there for extra time.
Right. So I stayed here longer.
So do you think being in D.C. for that time that you weren't even really planning to be here, do you think that kind of, were you like, whoa, I kind of want to be here. I kind of want to see what's good here. This feels good.
Yeah, I mean, even like this is not to like blow up your head or nothing, or just because you're right in front of me. But even like meeting people like you, right? In that whole scenario, when I'm in that studio, Reef had talked to me a lot about that studio. Like I'm one of the people who like told him pull the trigger, but I'm far away when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm like Tacoma. You know, in my head, I'm from here. I'm thinking Tacoma, Maryland, right? I'm like,
that seems like a distance.
yeah, I'm like, what? And then but he's explaining it to me. I'm just like, go for it, right?
Why
and
not?
then so I come and I'm like, oh shit, this is dope. It's right by the metro. Okay,
Yeah.
this is more. I'm glad I told him pull the trigger. So now I'm like, I'm so glad because now I get to be around this energy, and I didn't know DC was really harboring this, right? Because again, I left because it really wasn't here, right? So anyway, I'm here, and now I start to see just from me being at my sister's house, I'm just really not even trying to be out, and Reef keeps coming and picking me up. And he's like, yo, come out. People. He's like, yo, people really fuck with you out here, and I'm like, well, people really mess with me out here, right? So he's like, people really rock with you, G. Like,
For a second, I was like, why did he say? I was like, oh yeah, the no cursing thing.
people really rock with you, 2020, man.
Yeah.
People really rock with you, and they're like, he's like, he proves it to me. He's like, come to this event, big pop up. He was like, we're gonna have you as a special guest, and you'll
Okay.
see.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I don't really want to be out. I just want to spend time with my family. And he's like, and we just talked about this yesterday because he's like, bro, you owe me a painting on my wall, like, because I'm the one who got you out, right? So like, so I do it. I come to the big pop up thing, and like people do. I'm meeting all these people that I only saw their name on Instagram. They're coming to check me out. You know what I mean? A lot of people that I work with right now came around that time and just said hi or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, this is dope.
That's gotta feel pretty interesting. The fact that you've been away for so long, yet people in your hometown still kind of mess with you. Like that's gotta feel good and feel welcoming as to making that decision to really start planting roots and taking off it, right?
Yeah. Because I mean, I went to art school here, and I grew up here, right? And then
Did you go to Corcoran?
no.
Okay.
Come on, man. Do I look like the type of went to Corcoran?
I mean, definitely not, but you never know.
Yeah, I dropped out of Art Institute, bro.
Dang.
yeah. Yeah, I went to Corcoran, man.
Yeah. Well, get the hell out of here.
I went to American University.
You seem like that person who'd probably get that random grant and get a full ride through Corcoran.
Right,
you seem to have that
yeah.
kind of luck.
Yeah,
with
I
this
do.
shit.
You know
really
what?
do seem to have
back
that kind
then,
of luck.
maybe not. But now, if I was in that age, I probably would. But like, nah. Back then, I was a straight degenerate, bro. Which I still am.
I mean, that's half of being an artist. But the
Yeah.
thing is that you got here, you met us, you were like, yo, people are messing with me. You
But
know?
not just that.
Okay.
Also, this artist that I don't know. Because I knew there was some, because I did music too when I was in art school and it got really big. So I end up, a lot of the people who are in high places now in the scene, there were some, was a sound guy or they had they were like promoting a venue. So many people I know, like Flower Bomb was half people I grew up with friends.
Oh, all those artists.
Some of them, like, I'll give you one, like DJ Malcolm X, right? Malcolm Xavier, he's on the radio and everything. He had a skate brand, and I was a skate model for it. District Dodger, Pierre,
Yeah, Pierre.
was the photographer.
Of course.
You see what I'm saying? Like, look at this. You get what I'm saying? That's just two people.
It's like you left and everyone just kept evolving as well as you did.
Yeah,
And then it came back
and
you
I haven't
saw
even
it.
seen them two in the same room yet. You know what I mean? But I met them together. You know what I mean? And so it's things like that. And you know, there's so many. It's like a diaspora, right? Of like these kids who were trying to make something happen back then, and all we could see was music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like back then it was like, what else? Nobody was caring about paintings. You know what I mean? Like nobody was caring about. But people thought I went to school for music, but I went to school for animation.
Oh.
So you know, basically I got tired. I was like, yo, I don't want to do music, and people weren't accepting that here because they knew me for that, and I left.
Yeah, it's a hard place for music.
Yeah, it is.
Real hard place for music unless you're like some sort of DJ, like a
Well,
nightclub DJ.
Yeah, there you go. And but that's also like why I did Flower Bomb, because I know it's hard for music. But I think if you get all those people in the right room,
What's Flower Bomb was the first big event you did with
I think
PBR.
it was the biggest one for sure.
Because I know you did like the Black Whiskey one before it.
Yeah.
But the Flower Bomb one was a really grand scale, invite
Yeah.
the public, let's really see what we can do. And
Yeah.
you did it in a location that's really tight.
Yeah.
That probably won't exist after this year.
Nah, guess what?
What?
They exist in G, and we got Flower Bomb 2020,
So they got it?
August 11th. I mean April 11th. Yeah, we good. Everything's good.
Damn, Flower Bomb in April?
Yeah, and I'm doing another project with them. With the project I did for the mayor, Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, you like painted some cities, or you painted like the town of
It's a
DC.
20 by 20. I've hired 8
Yeah.
artists.
I
Like
think
we
it was
did
big.
it all around. See these things though, you know what I mean? And this is non-PBR related. So if you really look at the whole year, there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's some PBR, some that happen outside of it, and like it just creates this like I don't even know, bro. Like I can't call it what did happen.
It's to me it seems like a whirlwind of just opportunities. Like the PBR thing enabled you, but then people saw that and wanted you for other things, and it's like compounding interest where it just keeps happening.
Right, and the way. So again, all that happened at first, right? I got inspired by you all and like meeting you and then seeing your wall with all those people.
Yeah,
Because some of those people are people I grew up with back then, and I'm just like, oh, these people are still doing it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this guy, he's in the scene. I don't know him, so there's a whole bunch of people I don't know. So I'm like, yo, now I'm interested. I'm curious, right? So I'm like, people I know are doing cool things. And then I'm like, yo, there's a bunch of people I don't know who are even in between. It's like 6 degrees of separation. I need to I'm just observing. I'm curious, right? So that curiosity stayed around, and I just stuck around. I think I went to New York, maybe did a mural too, and kept coming back, right? And I'm just like finding excuses to be here, just on my sister's couch, right? Pissing her off slowly. First, she's like, "I miss you so much. It's so great." And then you know what I mean.
She's like, "You're starting to live here.
Yeah.
Get your own spot, dog. What are you doing?"
Exactly. But I'm just like, if I come back to DC, how will I make the money? Because I make money doing art at this point in my life, right?
Yeah.
And like like I'm doing residencies in New York or I'm in Miami. Like these are places that I know the ecosystem. I know how to make money. So I'm just like. Yeah, but I still don't trust that DC has a thriving ecosystem for me to make money off of art.
That's true. That's important. Yeah.
Right? And I was just like curious, right? And then my boy Shane, who already worked with PBR, so PBR had been sponsoring me as a muralist for about 2 years.
Oh, before then.
Right. So they were like, when I do a show, they sponsor if I ask them to. Right. So they've sponsored me from DC to New York to Miami.
That's awesome.
They even sponsored. I had a gallery I opened in Miami. They sponsored the opening. This is like 3 years ago.
Wow.
So the relationship went deep, but it's funny. It all comes from this. I did this mural at Copycat, maybe like 2014, right on 8th Street, and I was living in New York at the time. But I came and did it, and I'm looking at 8th Street, and I'm like, this ain't used to be like this. It's like hipsters, bro. Right?
Yeah.
And this is on one side, I paint this copycat mural where he asked me to do Lucky Cats, so do an explosion of Lucky Cats. On the other side, I was supposed to be done, and he's like, Devin, he's like, yo, like, paint the other side. We'll pay you again and do whatever you want. So I'm like, okay. And I'm looking around, I'm like, a lot of hipsters, man. So I paint a hipster skeleton chasing a PBR. Just because it's the hipster beard to me, because I skated.
No,
yeah.
That is the hipster beard to me too.
And I used to skate and things like this. So you're around PBR drinkers. It's a certain type of person. You know what I mean?
Alcoholic water. It's all it is.
Exactly. And like you can down a bunch while you skate. It's mad cheap. You know what I mean? It also like it feels like water, so it almost feels like you're getting refreshed, but you're not. And like when I skate it, right? I stop skating because I paint, and if I break my wrist, I'm broke.
Yeah.
And I fall on my right hand. I learned to fall, you know what I mean? So, but when I was skating, I would get blasted, right? Because then you don't think about hurting yourself.
Oh, yeah, you get a little tipsy.
You get
don't
brave.
forget about hitting your ankle or getting a little skid mark and stuff like
Exactly.
that.
So PBR was the go-to if you couldn't afford like certain things at the time, right?
Yeah, PBR 40.
And then we're in art school. So you know what I mean? So my relationship to PBR was specific to that. So I paint this mural of a dead hipster chasing a bear, and then I get hit up on Instagram like, who paid you to do this PBR mural? And I'm like, what PBR mural? I didn't even know what they were talking about. I didn't know who this was.
Just like a random person that you
Yeah.
know.
And then he's like, sends me a picture of the copycat joint. And I'm like, so I go to his page, and he has a bunch of PBR pins on his jacket, but it doesn't say he works for PBR. He just looks like he's a big fan of PBR. So I'm like, nobody, bro, the place, but I just did it. And he's like, well, would you want to do more? So I'm like, yeah, And so we started a relationship. He's like asking me for quotes of murals. I find out he's the marketing person for DC.
Wow.
Right? And so after that, I go to Miami. I think we didn't work heavy because he found out I wasn't really based here.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay.
So when I'm in Miami, they put me on with Miami people, whatever. You know what I mean? New York, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been talking to him while I'm here, like hanging with you guys and all that. Last year, I hit him up because I'm like, hey, I'm about to do that show in New York again.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all about DC, right? I'm like, I want to talk to you about it. So I go to link up with him, and I'm like, maybe I want to do a DC version. It's called Dream Bigger, right? And so I go meet with him. He's filming these skaters in a random row house in like Northeast, right? And I knew some of them, right? And like, so I'm just hanging around, and I'm like, this your job, bro? Like, hey, he's like, yeah. And so I'm like, this is tight, you know what I mean? And then, you know, I'm like hanging around, and then he tells me he's leaving. He's like, yo, let's do the thing. Let's figure this out before I leave. And I'm like, who are you gonna hire, bro? Because whoever it is, I need to be cool with them.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So me and Reef were scrambling, trying to find the right people to hook up with PBR so that we always have that cool person working for the company, so we keep getting sponsored.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another. People in the company end up finding out that I may be good for it or something like that. So they talked to me about it. Not even like a formal interview. They talked to me about it. And then I'm just like, here I am in D.C.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
Thinking about moving back.
Yeah, and they're like, would you do it? And it took a little, I was confused if I could even handle something. I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, because you're already a full-time artist, and
Right.
they're trying to offer you this, like, position.
But they told me, like, you just got to, like, they're like, look, it is all these things, but you would be a big asset, and you being yourself is, like, a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
mutual.
like, all right, okay. So I'm like, let's try it out, right? And that's what I mean. Like, I was doing little things, like, so when I go to Denver, so I go back to Miami, paint a mural, and have to be on a flight to Denver, like, the next day to go there, right? So I paint this mural in Miami. I'm rushing, right? Because I'm all right, this is a structured company. Like, but I still need to make my mural money, right?
The mural money's nice,
right?
yeah.
And like, that's what I know. So I'm like, this may not work out with this company. I don't know. I'm gonna go to Denver and see, but I'm like, there's a mural in Wynwood, and like right beside Ron English. This is like the best spot in Wynwood on the gallery. And when I come back, I have a gallery show. It's a mural to promote my upcoming gallery show in the art district of Miami. So I'm like, I have to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the PBR thing is yet. I was already technically like,
It's kind of in the air, I guess, at that point.
well, I'm hired.
Or you're hired.
But the way they're just an interesting company. So I'm hired, but I didn't technically have to do anything until I get to Denver and then talk to them. So, so at the time, I'm just like, I don't have no direction because there's nobody here. There's nobody. It's not like there's somebody in DC who's gonna come in the office. There's nobody here. So like, they're just like, we'll see you in Denver on this time, on this date of March. But I already had taken a job, so I'm like, it already started technically. So, I'm in Miami. I'm just like, fuck it, let me get and I told them like,
yeah,
I have some responsibilities that I already promised, murals, and so I'm gonna have to do these. You know what I mean? They're like, all right, whatever. So I paint this mural, bro. I have to be on a flight in 2 days. So I'm painting it. We're knocking it out. It's a tight mural. Like, this is one of my favorites. Like, it has like the eyeball with the flower wings. Did you see that one?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it was getting a bunch of. I was reposting a lot, but they covered it, right? So, so I'm painting this mural. My boy Gary's with me. Shout out to Gary. Right? We painting this mural. He's helping me, and I gotta be on a flight now. At the next morning, I'm finished. It just needs to like dry, and I'm like adding final touches.
Nice.
And it starts raining, bro, and it dripped through everything.
Oh no!
And this is like a 30 by 30 foot wall.
And it was still all wet.
It wasn't all wet, but
most of it.
What it was the black outline. One of the colors dripped, but when it drips through every other color. So you had to go over everything.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I have to be on a flight to PBR the next day, and this is first impression. And I'm like, this is why this stuff don't work for me. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking like, and so I end up telling them like, hey, like, I'm gonna be there. I gotta catch another flight. I paid my own way just because I didn't want to book twice with them. I didn't know.
So you stayed and you fixed the mural?
Yeah, I had to, bro. If I go to Denver and then I'm seeing just the conscious knowing that that's the most visible spot in the whole street of Wynwood.
Represents you.
And there's drips going. Yeah. I'm not gonna be able to sleep at night. You know what I mean? Like, and it was my birthday, bro. Like, so this is maybe March 2nd. I'm painting the mural. I was supposed to be there March 3rd. I think I got there March 4th, and March 7th is my birthday. So I'm like, I'm trying to like protect my own self. Really, I'm like, yo, I don't want to be in Denver on my birthday around a bunch of bears. So I'm probably be drunk, and I might be depressed drunk if I know my mural is just looking ugly in Miami.
I mean, in the art district too, so it's kind of a big deal. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I get out there, and I'm just listening. You know what I mean? And they end up just saying like that marketing people. Well, I can't give up their secret sauce, right?
Yeah.
But like, look, I'll just say this.
Yeah, you can. It's okay. You can do that. It's cool, dude.
Nah, man, I signed papers.
NDAs.
Yeah. So they end up just explaining how important, like, organic personality is to their company. So they sit us in the room and they're talking about the story of the brand, and I'm like, I'm wondering what it is, and they're like, in your city, what's your story? That is the story.
They asked you that.
They're like, that is the story.
Yeah.
Our story in DC is your story. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? So I'm taking this literally. So I'm like, all right. So I get back here, and as you see, I'm just like, all right. I used to do these art shows at Black Whiskey. That was the first art show I had. They gave me, so I'm like, yo, let's resurrect those.
Ah,
right?
So that was the Black Whiskey thing.
Yeah,
that you
and
did with
they're still
Diego
going.
And
They're still going now. So we just did one with we just organized one with Danny Lyon.
Awesome.
Filthy fell off.
Okay.
And we got some other people.
I don't know who Dandelion is, but I know who Filthy fell off is.
Okay, yeah. So we just organized it yesterday. Actually, shout outs to him.
Nice.
And so it's gonna be cool. You know, now. So what I'm saying is, I was just testing the waters, just like seeing if, okay, are they serious? I could just do what I'm good at. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it kind of seems like you were maybe confused as terms of what can you do, what's going on.
Right.
And you're just like, all right, let me just do something and attribute it to them.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, like they had National Mural Day, which was when I did the mural on Museum. That was literally
to me, that's a really important mural. I think the museum mural is super important because in that part of town, there's nothing like that. Like there's nothing vibrant like that. 50% of the shops are like kind of closed or run down.
Yep.
You know, and for you to show up and to do this nice colorful mural, I thinking about it, that felt like one of the first big things I remember seeing.
That
of you
actually was.
And it was the museum mural. I was like, whoa, because what those guys are doing is really interesting in itself as far as being this like creative space for brands and fashion and art and everything. And then for you to come and do the storefront, it just seemed very natural, but also it just seemed like a really big look at the time.
Well, so that was my first time testing the waters. So it's wild because I'm in Denver and they're like, hey, we're celebrating National Mural Day, which I'm like, what is that? And they're like, it never existed. They started it.
Okay.
So they're like, May 5th is the first time. And I'm like, yo, they just brought me in and I'm a muralist. I have to like,
yeah.
This it's literally in a couple months after I get brought in. So I'm like, I have to like hit this out of the park or I'm gonna look like a dumbass.
Yeah,
you know
you're
what I
repping
mean?
for you,
right.
for PBR.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I mean, like they brought in a muralist. Like I already painted murals with them in the past, but like they brought me in officially and they're like, oh, the first thing we're doing as a whole company nationwide is a mural in each city. So I'm like, oh, obviously I have to kill this.
Yeah, clearly
right?
it's
or
you.
or are they gonna look at me like, why we bring this guy in?
Yeah,
I'm the only muralist that's doing one of these.
Yeah.
Everybody else is somebody in that town who's finding a muralist.
Ah.
So
okay.
I was supposed to find a muralist too, but as a muralist,
You're like, I'll do it myself.
not even that. As a muralist, I haven't been here long enough to know who's serious and who's not.
Oh, that's
and I'm
true.
like,
you
yo,
you don't know, yeah.
and I know it has to be done by a certain time and on a certain schedule. And I'm like, I haven't been here, and I'm a muralist, and I know how much artists bullshit or like they may like take a long time. And I'm like, yo, I don't know who's serious, who's fast, who's what. And I'm like, yo, my name hinges on this with the company. I was like, yo, I'd rather do it myself.
That makes a lot of sense because to me you're a very selfless guy. Like you're very willing to put others on, and you can see that in your art shows.
Yeah.
You know, so for you to choose yourself, it kind of seems like you literally had to choose yourself.
I had to explain that to them because I knew it may look funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm gonna pay other artists to help me paint it, right? But I'm like, I was like, yo, trust me, this is the right place to do it. First, they didn't even understand because they were like, it's not like. It's just it's a store. We're promoting a store.
It's not like a downtown storefront. It's kind of a weird spot.
And it's like it's not a bar. It's not one of the places that supports their brand. So I'm like, trust me, this is the right way to announce that I'm back here doing some creative stuff with you guys. Trust me. I'm like, I'll bring artists. I'll pay artists to help paint it, right? And so that's what I did. I hired artists to paint it, right? And then I'm just like, I know how this may look, you know what I mean? And then they passed it up the chains, and then the chains were like, nah, go ahead.
Well, what happened was that PBR got connected essentially with like the heart and the streets of DC from you painting on the museum, because the museum represents that whole, represents the real DC.
Yeah.
When they're probably thinking of this downtown area, you're over here messing with, you know, the heart blood of the streets in a way of what the museum is, because the people who run that are that in itself.
And that's what I was trying to that's what I was trying to explain. It's like, trust me, this is gonna make my job, and I told him it's gonna make my job easier for the rest of the year, because I won't have to explain it after that. This is we starting off with a bang, right? Everybody knows, like, not only am I back, but like, yo, we're doing cool stuff for the community. Let's go. You know what I mean? And it ended up being that, right? So then, like, Black Whiskey or whatever I'm doing after that, people just paying attention for the right reasons.
Yeah, well, I remember the museum saga. And I'd seen people's stories going and painting, filling in flowers, like helping outline and doing a bunch of stuff.
Phoenix, Arizona. What is that?
If it didn't got a name on it, that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I remember that time. It seemed like a lot of people got involved, which kind of helped to bolster everything in general.
And that's put it like this. There's so many opportunities, not just with a PBR, but with like Nike, you know, with all these people, right? That like, one artist can't take all the opportunities.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. So like when it comes to Black Whiskey, like, these are people who, when I was at a certain point in my career, gave me an art show and then repeated it because it was so good. And I know the owners. So they're friends. And they happen, I'm like, yo, they sell PBR. Oh, this is perfect, right? So I go in there and I'm talking to the owners and I'm like, guess what? I'm with PBR now. They're like, what? They don't even understand. I'm like, why? Like, what? And I'm like, so can I do stuff here? They're like, yo, do whatever. So it's like, yo, I was set up for success because of my relationships here. You know what I mean?
So at that point, did you feel like you saw what you wanted to see in DC? By the time you did that mural, did you feel like you saw the landscape of the artists in DC? You were kind of like, I want to be here or not?
Yes, 100%. I saw, like, I had just been listening to people enough coming here to Homme or Homme, right?
Yeah, Homme.
I saw enough. You know what I mean? I would hang here a lot and talk to Amir, just talk about the scene. Thanks to Matt, Fairground, right? They were just introducing me. So when I was hanging with you guys, I was also coming here.
I think you introduced me to Amir.
Ah, there we go.
Which is why I'm here.
There we go. Well, I'm going to use the bathroom real quick.
Oh, my God.
Coffee, man, coffee.
Dude, you know you've broken the record for most piss breaks on this podcast, right?
Well, I'm going for another record. I'm going to beat last year.
Oh, please not. Oh, my God. This guy's giving me some editing work. So last time Chris was on the show, I think he went to the bathroom a total of 3 times. And I'm going to actually blame this on his veganism, on his vegan diet. Because if he wasn't vegan, he'd probably, have some meat and some other things in his stomach to help, kind of absorb the piss a little bit. But he doesn't. He's got like greens and runny smoothies in him. So he's just sort of, once it's in, it's out. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, it's so awesome to think that this podcast has been around for over a year, but long enough so that I can check back in with artists since then, like since I first interviewed them. So it's so cool because this is all kind of starting to feel like a really interesting deja vu moment where you could watch the old podcasts and hear what we're saying and listening to us talk, and then come to this one and being like, did it happen? Did it come to fruition? Did everything we kind of predicted was going to happen? And in a lot of ways...
He's lying.
And in a lot of ways, for Chris, it did. And me too. I think for everyone. But it's weird because I think the sense of there's still something bubbling is still there.
Yes.
And it feels like it's just beginning. Even though from our side, because we're on the inside, we're kind of like... We start to see all these brand new art events. This time last year, there weren't that many art events. Mm-hmm. I can name like 4 other people putting on art events besides me, you, and like a couple other people. So it seems like with the event comes more of everything. More art, more celebration, more sponsorships getting involved, more money.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I think people just needed to see, well, a lot of what makes, I feel like a lot of people were defeated here, right? I was defeated here before I left. You know what I mean? It was just like, even like how you said music is hard here, so many things. Like a lot of these people have been doing this stuff for a very long time, since before I left when I was in college. You know what I mean? A lot of people have been at it. You know what I mean? So some people aren't going to be able to weather that. You know what I mean? And I think as more people show like somebody's thriving, this person's thriving, that's thriving. Then people, their spirits get back up. You know what I mean? And it's like, because that's how, when I came, I'm like, oh, shit, it's a scene here. You know what I mean? Like, and me coming from the experiences I have in cities, how I put it is like, New York and Miami have more mature art scenes. It's been cultivated for much longer.
Very true.
So, and I've worked in those places. I've like made a name in those places. I've made money in those places. So coming back here, I could kind of see not only that, oh, something's starting, but also like, oh, this could be like this if this and that happens.
But, people could feel you were coming in with that energy. Like, I could feel like you were coming to the city, bringing this new energy, bringing like this real professional, like I've done big shit vibe to it.
Okay.
Can we talk about the Nike collab? Because I feel like that was very big as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So how'd that come to be? What happened there?
How did that? Oh, my boy. It's funny because he just called me. Shout outs to Wes.
Yeah, Wes, stop calling, bro. I'm trying to do a podcast.
You feel me? But Wes.
Love you, Wes.
Yeah, we do, man. Of course, this man made this happen. So there's a program called Cultivator, right? It's an incubator for Nike, right? So Nike does field marketing now, right? Which is what I was doing in 2018 with Adidas and all these brands. That's how I ended up in Toronto. So I have been doing all this field marketing, but I've worked on both sides because I also have worked for marketing companies in Miami. So I've been behind the scenes of marketing on accident, bro. I didn't go to school for marketing, right? So so me being in all those rooms and then being an active field marketer, right? I've worked for the people who put the campaigns together, and then I've been the artist who actually implements the campaign. Right, so
working both sides.
Yeah, but on accident. These are just accumulation of me grinding, bro.
You just absorb that knowledge. When you see it, you know it.
And that's how I am. I like to study things. I like when I like something, I get invested. Right. So it's a mixture of trying to survive, opportunities coming, and then those opportunities happening to have a 6 degree of separation to them, where I'm like, oh, this allows me to understand this better, which allows me to do better at this. Right, and So what's funny is Nike was that, right? It was a field marketing campaign where like they have Cultivator's like this incubator. Now you ask the average artist who work with Cultivator, they probably won't give you this perspective. But I've worked for companies like Cultivator, right? So like honestly, it's an incubator for Nike. They work with like micro influence.
So, but what did they do for you? Like I get that what you did with them, and you designed your own shoe.
Yeah.
But how is that cultivating anything? It seems more like a brand deal.
Well, well, the company's just called Cultivator, but it's a company within that's an incubator for Nike, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Exactly. So like, but what made the difference with me is because I know that whole scene. I just went straight to Nike. Like, and that's not how it usually works. They approach artists and they say, do whatever like you want, create your own campaign. We're just letting you design a shoe, and they don't give you any funding, right? So even with PBR, I work on the other side of marketing, right? I work with budgets. I work with this stuff, right? So I'm like, my boy Tom. Well, first of all, Wes finds out about it, and apparently just DM'd Cultivator all of these shoes. I used to do stuff with Vans, Adidas, just DM'd them all these pictures.
He found out about they were trying to work with you, or they were just doing it in general?
He just found out that they were doing it in general, right? And I think they were on their second drop, right? And so he sends them all this stuff, and then he hits me up, and he shoots me a screenshot, and they're like, we love it. Tell him to contact us.
Nice.
So I'm like, I'm caught off guard. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, what? And so I just hit him up.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I was doing the mayor's project. Right, and that thing was crazy.
With Muriel Bowser, yeah,
and it was a
big look too. If anything, dude, that was a huge look. See, I stopped the curse right there. That was a huge look.
Oh, you didn't curse?
I did. I was huge look.
See, but so the mayor thing was like it went so fast, right? Because it was an opportunity that came real quick. I got it, and I had to execute so fast. But that's again working with the budget, hiring artists, right? But I'm an artist, so I try to keep myself. How do I say? I was just telling Filthy this yesterday, right? Like, I don't like to talk to you all when it comes to these projects because you're an artist, I'm an artist. I want to keep that relationship pure. So Tom was talking to him. So I try to so things like that mayor project, it gets rough because it's so fast that I may have to have a communication with an artist.
What was the mayor project anyways? Like, could you just talk about that real
Okay,
quick?
so they asked me to pitch. I think it was because of Flower Bomb. I actually had a meeting with them about Flower Bomb before Flower Bomb, right? With 202 Creates and Made in D.C., right? Thanks to them, right? And they were doing a project for D.C. statehood, but they didn't really. They just had a budget, I guess, and they wanted it to be for Art All Night. And they're like, I just got contacted to pitch randomly on my DMs, and I'm like, pitch what? And they're like, the mayor's doing something for statehood. We want an art piece, but we want something that can be in all 8 locations of Art All Night. Because my question first is, and hey, if you guys want to do stuff like this, if you aspire to it, I always ask one question. Best case scenario, what are you getting out of what I do for you? What do you want?
To see where they're lying, see
Right.
what their agenda is.
And so he's like, we want something that represents DC statehood. We want it to be to activate all 8 areas of Art All Night. And best case scenario, something that we can keep at the end and showcase. So I'm like, what's that? And then, but there's no guarantee. He's like, pitch. So I'm thinking, I don't even know who I'm pitching against. They don't tell me anything, right? And I'm just like a random dude, you know what I mean, who's doing stuff. And like not a company, and they, this is a government agency reaching out to me. And so to me, obviously, I'm like, well, when I think of statehood or just a state period, I think of the silhouette of the state, right? And so I'm like, okay, that's check. Okay, activate all 8 sections. Well, there's 8 wards in D.C.
Makes sense.
So, okay, I'll break the silhouette into 8 wards.
Boom.
And then put them on all 8 places and hire 8 artists or 7 because of myself.
Seems so natural at that point.
Yeah, and then I'm like, and so when I pitch it, like, they're like blown away. And I get it. You know what I mean? But when I get it, here's the thing. When I get it, I was working on other stuff. And there was this whole thing of like, now you get it. Now we got to figure out the funding. Now how much is it going to cost? And then by the time that they figure it all out, they're like, now you got to do it in like a week. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. And so here I am having to go to artists, me as an artist, like, hey, I want to hire you. I don't like that type of situation. You know what I mean? I'd rather somebody else speak because I feel like now it taints my relationship.
You don't like the business to artist. You like to be artist to artist.
Because I'm an artist, bro. I
Yeah.
want to keep that relationship pure.
It does make things weird.
Yeah. So that's when I brought Tom in, and shout out to Tom. So what I'm saying is we did this thing under big pressure, crazy pressure, and we built a 20 by 20 piece of cut wood that like each piece stands on its own and comes together and makes the silhouette of DC.
That's crazy.
And it's nuts. And it got painted during Art All Night. We did it, but it was so quick we didn't really get to like relish it, right? And then they sent me with the mayor on her campaign for statehood. So that bus that was driving around was on the news.
Yeah, I remember
I was
seeing
up
that.
there. So,
That's hilarious.
But it was like intense, and I'm like not sleeping and like just doing it to check off the box. And they're like, "Well, now you did it. You have to go on the campaign." So I'm like, "Okay, cool, right?" So I do it, and shout out to them. I appreciate it. It was it was a great test, right? I did it. Then I unveiled it on the news. Right? They block off a street to unveil the project.
Yeah, they hold ribbon cutting and everything.
But even that was nuts because
Yeah.
they at one point they were saying like they were going to hang it from a crane
No fucking way.
above the city.
That's crazy.
But all these decisions came down to like in 3 days the idea changed like 3 times, and the third day I had to be on the news. So it was like, yo, what? It was
At this point, you're just operating on some government agenda where they're doing all these publicity runs, and you're just like, sure. Yeah.
But half of it is like because it's such a unique piece. They had to hire my team to do it because they don't know how to put it together.
Oh.
So I got so I'm calling them. Then they're like, "Well, now we're gonna hang it from a crane." And I'm like, "I don't know. My boys don't know how to do that. We don't know how to do this. Like, how is it safe? Is it safe? Is it gonna fall on somebody? Right?"
I don't
And
really construct it like this. Like,
as we're creating this thing, I'm literally thinking like, "Yo, bro, we have to make sure this don't fall on the mayor." yo, for real. And I'm just like, and at this point, I'm getting like stressed out to them, and I'm not a person who gets stressed out, bro. Like, I don't like.
but you're working on the highest level of local DC.
And really, what it was is their stress was projecting on me, right? And at a point, I was just like, "Yo, shouts to my homie. I'm not gonna name him, but you put me through the ringer, but we brothers now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like he had pressure on him, and he took a chance on a random dude like me, And he's like, bro, you have to pull this off because we got to all green light it. And now apparently, I'm not gonna say any names, but there's other art groups and companies that do a lot of installations around the city.
Yeah.
When I found out the people who submitted ideas, they were actually production companies, and actually they put on, and I'm like one guy, you know what I'm saying? And they chose it, and I'm like, no wonder this is crazy, right? So I'm like,
they're expecting a whole squad of people behind it, but you're like, it's me and 7 other artists I brought together.
yeah, and my boys, you know what I mean? Who we know how to pull. Obviously, we did it, and it worked, and they loved it. You know what I mean?
Did you end up hanging it from a crane?
No, I didn't. They changed that last minute because
that kind of seems extra.
The crane people taxed them so much money, right? And they were like, "All right, how much do your boys cost again?" I'm like, "All right, yeah." They were, at first it was like,
"Yeah, put it on the ground now." Yeah,
yeah. So, and then I get my boys paid, man. That's what. So it's cool to do this, but like, me personally, as being the person in the middle. And I have to tell my friends, it's like, yo, you don't know how much my phone rings. You don't know how many like text messages I have, right?
I mean, dude, just sitting here with you for this last half an hour, I've seen it ring like 4 times,
Bro,
a couple texts.
Like I saw on my boy Tom's phone, when you're driving and you have Siri connected, it shows on the dashboard. Mm-hmm. It showed his like text messaging. I think it said he had like 100 messages.
Dude, Tom probably can't even Uber right now with how much like texting and information he's getting just from, I guess, managing you in a way.
Well, he's a project manager.
Okay,
for my project.
He coordinated this with us.
Yo, he's great.
Yeah, he does his job. He was like 10 minutes late. No, 15 minutes late. Like, he's on it, man. I give him props. He's made to do that.
Yeah, well, I went to text you, and I realized I don't have it on his number. It came up as your email. So I'm like texting Tom. Right? I'm like, yo, tell him this, tell him that. Right?
But you're that busy. You're that busy that you need someone else to help you.
And I'm learning that, bro.
Yeah.
I'm learning that. Shout out to Trap Bob. Me and her are learning like similar things at the same time.
Yeah, I got to get her on the podcast. You trying to put in a good word for me?
Yeah, well, here's a good word, Trap.
Yeah, Trap.
Good word for Bruce. He's a good interviewer.
Actually, we were at the Uber Sweet Green event.
Oh, yeah.
And she vocally said she'd do it then, but I haven't followed the app yet, so I'm definitely going to do that.
You got to hold her to it,
man. I'm with you. Yeah.
Nah, but
me, I'll hold
she's dope, bro. Like,
she's super dope.
And she's one of the people that, like, I can talk to that, like, understands because she's growing. We're just figuring it out, bro. There's no blueprint to this.
In this city.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in this city.
Because we have to, we're navigating around government and politics as well, which is something that New York and Miami.
Gentrification. There's so many things that play into who your demographic, how you're going to make money. Because it's gentrifying, and like a company like PBR now, right, is now PBR they're organic with, like I said, our story is your story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fire, right? They're like, that's why we brought you. Because we trust that you have, what you're doing is organic, and they only want organic, like, connections. You know what I mean? Like, their whole thing is like, yo, don't, like, even when they do an event, they don't want a bunch of pictures of people drinking PBR. They want the event. They want people enjoying. They want, you know what I mean? And they're growing outside of a beer company, not just a beer company. They're not a beer company, right? Which is interesting. So these are things I'm learning because I'm already playing that game. Because I'm not a real big beer person, so I'm doing cool, just art.
Yeah, it's not what it represents, not necessarily the beer itself.
And that's what their whole thing about is, like, the way they've been able to survive is not because of the beer. It's because of the cultures that have supported it. Skate communities, artists. So that was an accident at one point because it was cheap.
And they kind of figured it out.
And they're like,
oh, the guy started running with it.
Yeah,
it makes
like,
sense. Marketing-wise, it's
exactly.
genius, yeah.
And so, like, you take someone like Trap, which is wild. And this is something else that people don't know that played into it. She won the can contest with them.
Oh, yeah.
But she won that in 2018. I didn't work with them yet.
Oh, wow. She won that ahead of you even, like, doing anything with her.
When I'm in Denver, that first time, they brought it up. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, me and her weren't, like, close at the time. But I'm like, yo, 6 degrees of separation. I'm going to put her on when I get back to the city. That's crazy. Look at this. You know what I mean? And then so... we worked heavy since then, you know what I mean? And it's just like, but look at that. Like she won the contest, and I'm the person who managing budgets for creative, so I'm able to just push it. Yeah,
you've definitely brought her into the fold of when you need an artist to call on. It seems to be her and Diego. I mean, shit, you're wearing Diego's shirt, but like it seems like those are two of your favorite artists also.
Yeah, well, with Trap, I get to learn too, because she's doing a lot, 29 rooms. She in her own right is doing the same things, you know what I mean? She's working with big companies, she did Apple Talk, all these things, you know what I mean? So with her, I get to learn too, you know what I mean?
You kind of see her as like an equal peer in a way.
Of course, yeah. And like our talk show, like it's a beautiful thing, and like I feel like we're lucky to have each other in the same scene at the same time in the same city, because we just, you know, like I said, there's no roadmap. There it is. You know, there's no roadmap to this. So like anybody who's quite going through something similar is best to just like feed off trial and error, things like that, because like essentially there's no roadmap for us, me and her, but we're creating the roadmap for other people. You see what I'm saying? So
do you think when you say that, is it because when you look back at even before you left the city and came back, when you looked at artists around you, you didn't see anyone operating on that scale? So because of that, you're kind of saying like we're making the roadmap?
You mean when I came back?
Just in general, like it seems like in your experiences that when you look at the landscape of artists in DC, that no one has been operating on this level yet, at least that you've known.
Well, I don't think people got the like as we say, like the resources. You know what I mean? I don't even think. I think it's, have there been people who like are even better at creating than me? Yeah, in DC, I'm pretty sure. You know what I mean? It's like, are there any basketball players in the whole world better than Michael Jordan? I'm sure. Are they in the NBA? Like, no, they probably struck out. They probably didn't have a great life to get them there. You know what I mean? Like, he had the platform. You know what I mean? He was the best that had the platform. But I'm sure there's somebody in the world that was better than him, right? They just didn't have the luck he had, right? So, yeah, I say that just luck, bro, or fortune, like.
But it's honest.
Yeah, I mean, we're here now. We have it. So, and like we're trying to be conscious about how we do it, right? You could be selfish or but it really doesn't. To me, like. And I was explaining this to somebody yesterday, like, I don't think money satisfies me, bro. So, like, I think that's why I'm able to do the things I do, right? Because, like, money to buy, what do you call that? Not a bystander, but
it's,
like,
it's a byproduct of doing what you love.
Yeah. So, like, but whatever I'm aiming at is something it's not money. It just comes with it. But I don't really know what I'm aiming at, but I'm just going for it. Like go.
You don't know what you're doing it all for, what keeps you inspired, what drives you to want to set up the next flower bomb, what drives you to do all these things?
Inspiration. Like, I'm such a whore for inspiration that, like, yo, bro, I'm more of a nerd for not just art, but like creatives. Like, I look at somebody like a Kanye or somebody who has a body of work that doesn't just exist in one genre or one industry. And those are the people I like really like. Because to me, now, a painting is dope, a song is dope, a shoe is dope, right? A t-shirt is dope. But to me, what's the dopest form of art is stepping back and seeing everything that person created. Their whole catalog is art to me. As one thing, a catalog is art. So I think what I'm doing, coincidentally, is creating a catalog of shit. Like, even me producing other people's events, I think that's art. Me working behind the scenes, I think, is art. Me just like playing a small role, I just like it, bro. I like to create, I think.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's weird to assume that an artist is just that one meeting that they get famous for. Sure, Kanye, sure Kanye, sure he got big for his music, but he's so many other things. At the end of the day, he's not Kanye the musician. He's Kanye the artist. He's Kanye the person. And
the creator.
The creator.
Yeah.
And that's just what you happen to get known for, what you happen to get popping for.
Look at Tyler, the Creator. I think he called himself that to market it correctly to you.
Genius foresight, right?
Nobody really looks at him as a rapper. You look at him as like this dude who just does stuff. And he gave it to you first in his name. You know what I mean? Like that, bro. Like, so, yeah, that's where we at, man.
Well, speaking of where we at, you have a really big, I don't know, big, but it seems like your next big production, the Carryout show.
Oh, yeah. We got to...
What's up with that?
These are all things that like so back when PBR decided to rock with me, right? One of the dudes was like, yo, I'm gonna go to your city. I'm gonna come and just see what it's about. So I'm like, all right. So instead of like doing whatever, I don't know what they do when they come to People's City.
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, I'm gonna pick you up. So I pick him up and I take him like to carryouts and I take him to like super DC thing that he's eating like chicken wings and mumbo sauce. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I'm just like, this is, and so as I'm doing it, I explained to him the concept for Flower Bomb and the carryout.
Back then, wow.
And I told him, I said, yo, these are a couple things I want to do. Now that you guys are rocking with me, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of planning on using what you guys, the resources you guys give me to create these projects. And he was just like, take me to a carryout. So I take him. You know what I mean? And then coincidentally, as we're going around the city, he's eating his mumbo sauce. People are seeing me that know me from the past, and like, you're back in town. So it gave him like okay, yeah, do it. You know what I mean? It's funny. I just talked to him the other day because he saw it on the gram, the carryout, and I'm like, yo, thank you for telling me back then, right? But yeah, I had an idea to put a music show that was like all local card but elevated, because I know so many local musicians. I'm like, you get that fatigue of like, oh, this guy has been doing this for so long. People probably don't pop out to every show because they've been performing
Because he plays 2-3 nights a week every week.
Right,
yeah.
but now if he may be on a show now with someone else you know that has been doing it a long time, but you've never seen them on the same stage, plus UCB, plus all this. So it's like, I think this, if you put enough of the right, it's so much overlap audience that it'll actually get people out the house because they've never seen it curated that way.
Are you talking in Flower Bomb or for carryout?
Flower Bomb.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and then carryout. So that was just my raw idea. It wasn't called Flower Bomb. I just told him that.
Yeah, you just had a name. Yeah.
I just was telling him that concept. I was just explaining. Like, DC has dope music, but I don't think anybody's putting it all in one place. You know what I mean? To get people to, like, really get out the house. You know what I mean? And go see this shit. Like, because you get taken for granted. You've been seeing these same people work hard in the same city for a long time. You watch it on the ground. I'm like, cool, but you ain't go. You know what I mean? So, the carryout, I just explained. I just wanted to build a carryout. I don't even know what I told him. Like, you know,
basically like a pop-up restaurant front.
Yeah,
like one of the Chinese restaurants you walk into with like the glass walls.
Yeah. It's gonna be all the way like that, but it has a secret in the back.
Oh,
yeah, it's like a speakeasy vibe. So like, yeah, I think that was just the raw idea. So yeah, we at this point we're doing it. I was supposed to do it last year, but I end up.
How's it different than Flower Bomb?
It's completely different. It's instead of a music show in a abandoned metro station or whatever you want to call it, that thing. This is a carryout built inside of what is basically like a bar club in DC, right?
Big
like,
venue.
Yeah, so it's a real restaurant. We're really gonna have food. Yeah, and then but it's a flip on the carryout because the concept of carryout originally is that oh, look who it is.
Yeah, tell that man to get out of my interview.
Come on, bring him in, man.
Nah, I mean, tell that man to get out of my interview, bro. I'm trying to, nah, he can deal with himself.
That's the homie. Bring him in.
That's Woods?
Yeah.
Bro, we're trying to do an interview right now.
Well,
I don't want to get up. He can chill. You want to go from the door,
come
don't
on,
you?
Bring him in.
What am I going to do? This is the Chris Pirate interview. What are you going to do when Woods comes in?
He's just going to be in the audience. Come on.
All right, you want to go get him?
Yeah,
All
I'm
right, you go get him. I'm going to count this as bathroom break number 2, and he drops my headphones. God, this man's... Damn, $5. Those headphones were like $100, bro. No cap. Because I bought noise canceling ones, because right outside of our street is like a homeless village, and they make a lot of weird sounds. So this helps lock my guest in with me. And it's pretty funny right now. I can see Woods. Oh, wait, look, now they're both... Okay, no, they're coming in. I swear to God, if Woods comes in and knocks over my shit. About to see fire stream.
Nah, not yet.
What up? Yo, we're in the middle of an interview. Do you want to take a seat and join us?
Maybe I do.
Get on that camera, man.
Ooh. This is Hipster Woods, everyone. You probably know the man. Probably get him on the show one day.
This is another person I'm saying, like, yo, like, I'm lucky to have grown up with so many people that's doing cool things out here.
Mm-hmm.
I went to, like, mad schools with this man. You know what I mean? Like, 2 schools. You know what I mean? So, like, but, what are we talking about?
We're talking about your carryout show.
Oh, yeah.
So big carryout pop up. Are you gonna have music?
Yeah. Man
music,
Squeeze and
food.
Mr. Selector DJing at that joint. But actually, it's gonna stay open. We got there's just one day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be like 2 more weekends now. They just greenlit it yesterday. So because they want more people to experience it. So we're gonna like do other stuff each weekend. So
nice.
Tomorrow's gonna be DJs. Who knows what's...
Oh, wait, it starts tomorrow?
Not tomorrow, man. Saturday.
Okay, starts Saturday.
Yeah. On the 11th. But, yeah.
That's exciting.
That's where we at with that.
Who are the artists you're bringing in on that?
DA Glow.
Of course.
Right? Trap Bob did some stuff for it.
Nice.
Picasso.
Nice.
He's going to have some stuff there.
Just had him on.
Filthy, gonna have some stuff there. Danny Lion,
Okay.
Kiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I haven't worked with her yet, but I've been paying attention, so I'm like, yo, I want to work with her.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kiana, who else? I can't remember anybody else.
Well, that sounds like a pretty sweet lineup.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna be like activating for the next coming weeks after that.
Yeah, we're gonna do something different each weekend.
Nice, dude. So what you got planned 2020? I see you have some custom jewelry on. You're saying you just opened an art gallery.
Yeah, I got a gallery in Baltimore, bro. I got it. Yeah, I was in there earlier. Yeah.
So what about this gallery?
I think it's gonna be called Not Far From Home.
Okay.
Right, because when people in Baltimore from D.C., they won't be far from home. You feel me? Yeah. But not just that. I'm gonna start something with my boy right here, Monumental.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we're working on that, and then got this small version of Flower Bomb. Now check this out. Every month, a different artist called Little Explosion, right? And we're gonna what do you call it? Unplugged.
Yeah.
Right? But UCB is the house band for everybody. So yeah, so
where's that gonna be?
I think it's gonna travel around.
Okay.
Yeah, like little spots. But probably eventually at my spot in Baltimore too, because it's like there's a dope balcony in there.
Wait, so what do you mean you have an art gallery? Is someone funding you on that? Like, what's the situation? I guess are you partnering with someone on that?
No, I just got it.
Like you're just outright just gonna be running an art gallery.
Yeah, I had one in Miami, so I've done it before.
Why Baltimore?
Because it's fire, bro.
You think Baltimore's fire like that?
Well, I say this: it can be.
Like, why wouldn't you do it in D.C.?
Bro, you know what gentrification does to the prices out here, G? Would you want me to put it in a closet?
Yeah, I mean, rent's pretty expensive.
Yeah, here's a gallery. You can only put one piece up. One person, one piece a month.
But why the gallery? It feels like you're doing so many things. What makes you want to do a gallery, especially so far from where you're kind of playing roots?
Not far from home, G. See, you gonna say so far?
Yeah. I mean, you asked me. 45 minutes is kind of long, dog.
You feel me?
Baltimore is fun as shit.
You see, it is. Yo, I think. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this.
Okay.
When I did Flower Bomb, I got, I had to facilitate getting all the artists paid by PBR, right? All the musicians.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this: more people are living in Baltimore than you think. Because I saw
Really?
addresses. Yeah, I saw addresses.
Like for the RCPs and stuff like that?
Not just that. For artists, there's more artists that are in this scene than you think that are living out there.
It's
And I'm
real
like,
cheap to live in Baltimore.
but that's my thing. I'm like, yo, why I know these people living? Why people not claiming it? That's what I'm wondering. And I'm like, yo, you know what? Like, let's embrace it. And then I got an opportunity. I got an opportunity to take over a spot that has a lot of momentum in Baltimore.
Oh, so that was
It's a streetwear spot. And a lot of the Baltimore rappers, I just found out they've all done shows in there or like pop-ups. So and they wanted the next person to be the right person for the community and to keep the energy going, not just like a law firm moves in or something like that. So I got a good opportunity, so I just took it, and I've had it for a minute, but I haven't been doing nothing with it.
Well, something like that says a lot more than just like getting a space with nothing tied to it. This place has history, it has feelings, it has emotions, it has a scene probably attached to it.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're definitely coming in with like the right energy probably for it.
And I'm like, after seeing that, I'm like, yo, there's more people from DC that are like living in Baltimore and probably just coming here to do their art, right? And that they're from here. And I'm like, yo, why we not embracing it? That's 2 black cities. You know what I mean? 2 cities full of heavy black population. Why not connect them? Because I grew up like, man, fuck Baltimore. That's how I grew up.
Yeah, that's how I'm living.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Bro, I know better than that nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, that's stupid, especially when I go out there and people are just humble. People like, you got a cool jacket on in Baltimore? They're going to come talk to you like, yo, that jacket's tight. Like, I ain't grow up. It's a lot of ego here because it's the nation's capital, G. You can't tell us we not important here. You feel me? So, like, you feel me? So, like Baltimore guys like a more humble energy, more just down to earth. So, I'm like, yo, this is a cool place. Like, I had no reason not to like it. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm like, I know how many cool artists that I like that got Baltimore addresses. You feel me? So I'm like, oh, maybe it's something I'm missing out there. And then I got this opportunity. I had just mentioned it to a couple people, and then my boy's like, I got a perfect opportunity for you if you really want to go out there. And I'm like, all right. So I go visit it, and they're like, yo, you the one. So I'm like, let's do it. I'm not saying too much because, again, I haven't done much with it yet. So I don't know how proud they are right now. They're like, yo, we get it.
Like waiting for you to do your first show.
Yeah, they're like, yo, I've had it for months now.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm making them proud, but, soon.
Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what you do with the Baltimore space. I think there's a lot of potential. I think Baltimore is a very untapped art scene in general.
Yeah.
The reason why people
sure.
in Baltimore claim DC is because it makes them look like a bigger city. It makes them look like a bigger deal of an artist. The same way if you're in I don't know, Massachusetts, you like Boston or somewhere.
Jersey to New York.
Yeah, if you're in Jersey, you probably claim in New York. So it's I get it. I think it's exciting. I hope I can make it out there. I think I can.
Well, I think also I talked to Amir, right? And I thought it was cool because it's not far from home, and everybody calls this joint home, right?
Yep.
So I was like, yo, we should trade curations. Like if I hear about dope Baltimore artists, you should do a residency for Baltimore artists in here. And he was like, yo, you with it?
That seems like something he totally do.
Yeah. So, and then when I mentioned that to the people who were running the spot originally, they're like, yo, Baltimore artists need that. People feel like they can't get out, I guess, or make it out of the city. So them going to D.C. is going to help the scene a lot. So I'm like, all right.
I think in a lot of ways it helps everyone. You bring them here, it helps them, and then it helps us because it helps establish it as more of a nucleus for everything. And
there you go.
And that's kind of what this space that we're in is all about.
There you go. And DC already got gentrified, right? So I feel like people are just hanging on to certain things about here, but certain things are unrealistic now. You know what I mean? You really, you know what I'm saying? It's certain things that are unrealistic. So we may like the exposure here now, but it's unrealistic to think you're just gonna be here all day, all night, in the middle of the city, right next to the spot you want to perform at, living there. You can't afford it, right? So
Baltimore's that city. They just don't have the infrastructure that. Looking at Baltimore, it's ripe for artists to live in.
Yeah.
It's a lot of vacated places. There's a lot of cheap ass studio rent. You could get a giant fucking studio for $1,000. I was looking at it. It's insane.
I don't even know that,
dude. It's insane. I was looking at it last year, but the thing is, they just don't have what we have, which is all the platforms and exposure
and the money. The people who have because the government workers, they spend money here. So like when I do those Black Whiskey shows, people's paintings sell, bro.
That's awesome.
People's paintings sold at Flower Bomb, and it wasn't even an art show.
That's amazing.
You know what I'm saying? So there's money here, and you don't have to be afraid of price and stuff, good prices. You know what I mean? In Baltimore, I don't know. I haven't been there. I haven't really been there enough, right? But all I'm saying is that's how gentrification works. I learned that in Miami. When I was in Miami, the last gig I had was the reason why I had a gallery in Miami was because they it was part of a community that's adjacent to Wynwood. Mm-hmm. It's the next Wynwood. Wynwood was warehouses, an Ivy City vibe.
Where artists could live.
Well, what happened is it's cheap, so artists naturally live there. And then what happened, because they had to the guy who named the design district and stuff, he was a mentor to me in his project. I met the people in Miami, the real estate developers and all that.
Oh, wow.
Because somehow I get this space that's a part of the gentrification, the next wave. And then when they find out, I just show them my art, and I'm like, yo, I'm trying to use this as a studio, as a storefront. And they're like, you're the artist we've been waiting for. And they're like, I'm like, what? So then they introduced me to all these people, and then basically what happened, I art directed a gentrification project without really knowing that. So then
you helped gentrify Florida.
Well, I quit. But that's why I'm back here. But I had a storefront. I just wanted the space. So I found a Craigslist ad with a storefront.
You were just looking for a space you didn't know you were getting yourself into.
Yeah, and then I was like, yo, let me paint a mural on the side of my building. And they're like, in Miami, that's real high value. A wall because it's a mural city. So they sell that to big companies. So he's like, I'm like, bro, I'm renting this space. It's my wall. I can paint on it. He's like, nah, but I'll build that into your I'll give it to you if you're if you help cultivate the neighborhood. Oh. So I'm like, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? I end up in meetings with Chase Bank, all this stuff,
Jesus.
right? And then,
let's paint a fucking wall.
Yeah, and well, not to paint a wall, but for the whole community. Mm-hmm. So now that's considered Wynwood because they actually gave me a history lesson on how it worked, and that's what I'm seeing. So when I come here, I'm coming here with that type of knowledge, bro, because I accidentally learned this stuff.
Yeah,
so, like,
you're coming from more mature art scenes.
Right, and I learned gentrification. So they gave me a history lesson on Wynwood and why it exists and how. Because they were telling me that's exactly what's going to happen to this street.
Well, it's the same thing that happened in New York. The same reason why Brooklyn and Bushwick.
There you go.
Why the rent is literally the same as it is here now.
There you go.
It's because those were poppin' artist towns.
Yeah.
Where people like Basquiat and Keith Haring came out of, but now money came in there, and now it's no longer that. It might feel suffocating. It's expensive.
Yeah.
And that same thing is starting to happen in D.C., if not already happened.
Yeah, it's happened, bro.
And Baltimore, in a lot of ways, is like the new frontier, the new Midwest, because it's ripe for an art scene.
So here's how it was explained. Wynwood was just a bunch of warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have Art Basel that comes to Miami once a year. So when these artists would come, you have fine artists, and then you're gonna have some Shepard Fairey type people like those who like need to put their mark in the city. So they go to this warehouse district. It's easy. Nobody cares about it. So eventually, naturally starts developing graffiti by some big name artists, and then local artists are gonna go start putting their stuff up there to be next to Shepard Fairey, right?
Yeah.
And then naturally, it's warehouses. So cops aren't worried about you spray paint on a warehouse.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Right. So there's a bunch of warehouses. So what happens after all these artists, because of Art Basel, just keep like adding art to this place just to express themselves or be next to this guy who comes here once a year, right? What happens is now accidentally the property value goes up because the people who run it, so artists start moving there. Right?
Yeah.
I forgot about that part.
Because now it's desirable.
Right? Because now it's like, yo, well, it's cheap. I could get a warehouse and like we already painting over there. Let's just, and it was the hood though, apparently, right? Like dangerous. Like Wynwood. I didn't know this. Like where I'm at is Little Haiti. It's more like that at that time, right? But they're telling me Wynwood used to be like that, right? And you know, I think another thing that helped them is I'm a black artist. So nobody's gonna see me like that as a gentrifier. And I'm not seeing it that way, and I'm not scared of no neighborhoods because I come from, Southern Avenue, my G, like on the south side. You know what I mean? Like these type of, it's not much is going to scare me.
Did you see that when you were there recently? Because you were just there for Art Basel doing some big projects.
Now where I'm at, where I was at,
Yeah.
what's called 7th, it's 7th Avenue, right? Wynwood goes from 2nd to 5th. So they were saying, this place has not been named yet. We don't want it to just become Wynwood. Let's give it a name. I helped name it.
What'd you name it?
The 7th Avenue Creative District.
Nice.
Which I just said, let's just call it 7th Avenue Create. 7th Ave Create with an exclamation point. So it's a verb, right? This is what I tell them. And now when you go back, it's called Wynwood. It happened already.
Dang.
Yeah.
You couldn't stop it.
It happened. Well, I gave up. I quit. So I was probably the only one still push because I was the only artist. The rest of people are property developers. So I was the only person daring them to push for something new and create.
I can see it because in a way you were like their scapegoat of like, we're not gentrifying. Look, we've got a black artist doing things.
Like I was really
realize,
told, like you're the perfect artist to be the face of the Miami art scene, and that's so crazy because I'm like I'm not from Miami, G. You know what I mean? Like,
but for you were just trying to get some space and get some money.
Bro,
but for
me,
them, they're like, this is our poster boy right here.
Right. For me at the time, I was a broke artist that just keeps finding ways not to be broke. It keeps happening, right? But in my mind, I'm broke because it's no long term stability. This is like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, so what happens is they actually sat me down and explained this. So this is how they see it. This is how I see it, people. Here's a big conspiracy. So a place is so cheap that if they make it, now Wynwood was naturally entertaining or attractive to artists because of Art Basel. So a guy like Shepard Fairey, if he comes in town once a year, Shepard Fairey's whole thing is he has to put something on a wall. He has to be renegade no matter how fine art he is now. So he finds Wynwood. Let's just imagine he's the first one who puts something up. That makes sense, right? Now, if I'm aspiring in Miami, Shepard Fairey got something over in the hood, but it's warehouses.
You want to be there too.
Yeah, the police ain't gonna stop me. It's the hood and it's warehouses. Now I paint next to Shepard Fairey, I might get famous. Now all the artists keep doing that, and these big artists come once a year, and they want to be a part of the renegade art scene. It's cool for them, so they add to it and just keeps compiling. And then the property developers, then artists move in and start turning the warehouses into studios naturally.
Oh yeah.
Because it's cheap, and so then the property, then galleries start to open, but cool galleries that are kind of owned by artists, right?
Yeah.
And then it starts to have like First Fridays. Now they're getting people to come
Oh, the
to the
infrastructure
galleries
starts
to start
building.
making money. The artists want to sell
Yeah.
art. And now it becomes a destination for tourism. So now the property developers
wow.
are looking at this like, okay, raise the rent. They raise the rent. Now more galleries move in that aren't artist owned,
Because they can't afford them.
right? And now more high end galleries come in, right? And they start showing art that can't survive there, like people who are in Italy, blah blah blah. You know what I
Huge
mean?
artists who are selling for a lot of money.
Right. So now it really becomes a tourism destination, and then they raise it up more because guess who they need now? Restaurants and bars. And they raise it up, so people start losing their galleries, and restaurants and bars come in and start opening. Now, if you go to Wynwood, it's mostly restaurants and bars, and the next step is condos. So here's the thing: people have no clue that it's about to be condos, and where I was at the time was considered the hood. I had my store, my gallery.
Wow, that was literally the process right
And
there.
they break it down to me. And they're like, so we, as the people who own the area now, not me, right? But my landlord and the people around, they're like, they want to stand their ground, and they want to, not that they want to stop it. They want to have a stake in it.
Oh, because they know it's coming.
They don't want to sell their properties, right? But these also aren't people from Miami. So you feel me? These are like, property owners, but they're not the property owners on that level yet.
Dude, the way you just broke that down
Yeah.
seems like the natural way of how places get gentrified. That's literally what it is.
So when I come back home
Wow.
and I see this, it's already at a point. That's what I'm telling you. It's already unrealistic to do certain things here. I know that because I came back and I'm like, yo, look.
You've already seen it happen.
We're way past. We're like on like step 5, 6. We're at the condo step already.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, okay, just like how 7th Avenue was the next place, and what they're telling me as an artist is like, if you get in on this, you'll at least be an artist who has a place. You have a long-term lease, and you can create something at least.
Yeah.
And it's more integral for you. They're just coming up off of it, but they're like, at least you'll be one of the artists that actually has a stake here.
They're just making you feel good about everything they're about to do.
They're like, don't give your space up because you're a true artist. At least somebody was a true artist that.
Oh, yeah, you're the true artist.
Right. So, but eventually, like, that's what we talked about last time. What I was going through at the time was my grandfather passed, and then, like, I was so far away from home, I got even more distant to the people I love that keep me being myself. I talk to them every day, and then I lost them because people didn't understand why I was being so distant.
Yeah.
And I'm so far away. So when I had told that story last time because that's really what was on my mind. Like, I knew I had to come back home.
But you couldn't look at it from the perspective that you're looking at it now.
No.
Now you have hindsight, which is 2020. Then you were kind of just figuring it out, like why you didn't like it, but now you can like vocalize it and you know why.
Yeah,
it didn't work out.
and what the craziest part is I knew that I had to come back home to DC because everything that had affected me that made me, because I stopped going to meetings. My grandfather passed, and I was getting distant, and the people who are helping me deal with my girl at the time, and the people I love that are back home, who are helping me deal with that, or would help me deal with that, they didn't understand because I got so distant. They're like, and people are in the winter or whatever's going on here, and they're like, he's in Miami, not being affected by this stuff. He's not picking up the phone because he's enjoying his life, right? So I'm down there like quiet, not knowing how to deal with things because I don't have people close around me. And I just lost people. I lost one person who made me who I am. My grandfather's the person who told me, go to Florida. He's like, yo, every time I would see him, he's like, what's up, boy? Or like, hey, boy, and he got that old energy.
He believed in you. He was like, take that chance, take that lead.
But there's a lot of women in my family, right? So when I'm around him, it was just, people didn't know how close he was to me. Because the only reason I spent time with him, it was behind closed doors because I would get suspended from school. And my mom is like,
That time off.
yeah, my mom is like, you gotta spend the whole holiday with your grandfather, and because I'm suspended. So I and that's when he teaches me how to drive, how to play pool. Like he's just taking me on his. He takes newspapers to like my great grandmother and our family members just because they can't get out the house. So I'm just learning how to be a man. You know what I mean? So me and him really connect, and so my family didn't know I had this connection with him because it was always when I was suspended or expelled or different things. I would get in a lot of trouble when I was a kid. So, and I always had to spend time with my grandfather, but I loved it, right? So when I would go to family reunions and things, people don't know. He only says maybe 2 words to me, but he's just because it's on some man shit. There ain't much to say. So it's like, what are you doing? I thought you wanted to be in New York or in Miami. You talked all that. What are you doing here? And I'm like, what am I doing here? And I'm like, he's like, you still going? I'm like, yeah. He's like, go. And I'm like, all right. So when he passed,
Yeah.
what happened was my family didn't know how close we were. So I found out late that he was sick. Nobody's telling me this
Oh,
stuff.
because they didn't know.
Yeah, so the only other person, there's only few people in my life who knew about that relationship. And then I started getting distant on them. So even the people who knew it was important to me, they didn't.
But that's what happens with success is that it's distance is created and you become separated from the things that you call home because you're now operating in a space and a headspace that they can't relate to.
Wow.
You can't call these people and tell them about your problems because they can't fucking relate.
And nobody wants to hear those type of problems.
Yeah,
they're going through things that they think
like your problems seem trivial. So
Yes,
you're like, oh man, which wall am I going to paint for $5,000? And they're like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent and get my mama through this. And your problem seems so trivial. So it's like you become more famous in a way and get more clout. You become more separated from the people who are normal because your lives are so different. And that's why, and I've realized that now, and from listening to other people talk about this, that's what it is now your day-to-day problems are way different than shit that normal people can relate to. And because of that, it's like, that's what creates natural separation in a way.
And that's why I say it's lonely at the top. And that's why I've learned this is like,
now it all makes sense.
it's not what people think it is about being lonely at the top. Okay, yeah, it's not.
We'll wrap up soon.
Okay, it's not what people think it is, right? It's not you're lonely at the top because you're just so cool. You're too cool for everybody. It's that naturally your life is changing, and naturally you learn that you talking about your problems to the person who has to go to a 9 to 5 every day. It sounds like you're being a crybaby. So you just learn to keep it in, and then you get more distant and you get more lonely, right? And like, yo, I've been telling people like, yo, somebody, because I've even explained it to the people who don't want to hear it.
Damn.
Because I'm like, yo, I had to tell somebody. Right?
Get it off your chest.
Yeah. And I'm just like, yo, it's not what people think, and I get it. And it's like, yo, it's dangerous, bro. And it's like, if you don't have, I don't know, bro. Like, there's not enough people who are going through it for it to be a topic that is massively talked about. Because not enough people, it doesn't affect a lot of people.
Yeah, and it makes you not want to talk about it.
It affects the 1%, G.
Yeah, it's a 1% problem when your problem is, how am I going to get this Muriel Bowser project in when someone else is worried about, how am I going to pay my water bill? These are
right.
two
And they're
different
like, yo, I
worlds.
got to go to work and work for some. And I'm like, yo, how do I manage this $40,000 budget? You know what I mean? And so bruh, I'm glad somebody's talking. Maybe somebody like, people who are gonna be there, you're gonna make it. You could do what you want. You know what I mean? But yo, just know that this is what happens. You know what I mean? And
I think people suffer differently. Everyone suffers and everyone has stress, and no one's stress or suffering is more.
Wait, you
equal
said we're about to end this soon.
Yeah, we are.
So I have to do this while we're still recording.
Okay, what is it? What are you
Gotta
about
take
to
another
plug?
bathroom break. Just
No.
so-
No. No. We're gonna wrap this up before you take this piss because I got
Come
to
on,
piss.
man.
No, let's just wrap it up.
I wanted to break the record on here. Come on.
Nah,
man.
man, it was already 3. You're not gonna break it because you can't make it 4.
Got you.
Chris.
Nah, man. I mean, look, that shit's real. It gets lonely at the top because you're starting to experience a life that most people around you can't relate to.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Every type of life, it's just a different level of problems, right? So like, you have problems that you can't talk to your friends about because they can't relate, and it's going to sound like you're crying, and it makes them reflect negatively, right? If my problem is, yo, I don't know how to spend $40,000.
Yeah, it's a way different problem. Someone who's normal.
And somebody who's like, yo, I don't know how to make $40,000 in 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not even fair for me to have that combo. Yeah. But now me spending $40,000 isn't me having $40,000.
That's just you having to deal with the budget.
Right, which maybe I get $400. Who knows? Who knows how it shakes out?
But that's probably why you relate with so hard with Trap Bob, is because she's operating on that level now. And it's like
100%.
finally someone you can empathize and sympathize with for the same problems and the same struggles that you're going through.
Right,
which is beautiful. And you guys are going to create that roadmap. And you know what? Wrapping things up, I can't wait for the carry out.
Also,
weekend.
a couple more things.
Yeah,
Carry out.
Flower
Bomb
2020.
April 11th. And I also have a gallery show, like a gallery show.
In DC?
Right? Yeah, at Mahari Sakar Gallery.
Oh, nice. Off 8th Street.
Yeah, in March. It's going to launch on my birthday, March 7th.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's going to be like maybe a 30-day show. It might be longer than that, right?
Wow.
And I'm painting, like, there's going to be all new works. I'm creating, like, handmade carpets, right?
You definitely seem like you keep getting more into more diverse things, like
I'm
the
painting
custom
rugs
jewelry,
now. Yeah,
like
man.
the jacket looks brand new.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So
you're definitely getting to some different stuff.
I'm gonna
man.
release some flower jewelry.
That's sick.
Right? I just like, yo, bro, I like to create. Like I said, like I like to just create. And I'm like, okay, people like flowers that I paint. How else can I? Let me keep it fun.
Okay, but so while we're here, predictions for 2020.
Predictions. We're gonna go through World War III. The world's gonna end.
Nah.
Nah, I'm playing with you.
All right, guys. I think that's it. That's it.
Nah. I'm playing with you. Predictions for 2020. Oh well, look. Everything we did last year was a reaction to learning that we could do it.
Yes.
Right? That's all it was. Right? So this year is about, now I got a whole year to actually know we can do this stuff. So let's do it, and let's do it better. Let's do it more accurately. Let's have more peace while we do it. Let's work on it for 6 months rather than 6 days. You know what I mean? So my predictions for 2020 is that Baltimore and D.C. are going to be closer, because I think. So speaking of that, I think this is important to say. Going back to that Miami thing, right? The reason why Baltimore is important right now is that Baltimore is the 7th Avenue in that equation. That's where I was at. Now 7th Avenue is Wynwood, right? So just like how PG County or any of these places can just become DC, right? It expands based on perception, right? So like, for instance, Brooklyn was just Brooklyn. Now Brooklyn is New York.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
True.
You see what I'm saying? Brooklyn is Brooklyn is now an extension of Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? And it's cooler than Manhattan now. But at one point, it was just Brooklyn.
Now everyone knows Brooklyn's cool.
And it was just over there. It's just a place, just like Queens.
People
right?
visit Brooklyn now.
Right, exactly. So it's all perception. So Baltimore. But here's the thing. Yo, we got to, like, how they were telling me, like, oh, we got to own it. They were really just thinking because they're property owners. So that's a whole different thing. And they were telling me to do it the right way, which is own it as an artist. But I don't even own no buildings there. You know what I mean? So, like,
They can still kick you out.
and they didn't. But low-key, when I was getting depressed about my grandfather and all that, it kind of did. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, because I wasn't holding my end of the bargain. So, like, we got to own it. But from a way of, like, yo, like, look, that's a minority city, right? It's still... The landscape is still set because it's a minority city, right? The property is not very valuable. These things, like, we got to go own it and stand our ground, though. Like, own property. You know what I mean? And stand the ground. Don't just flip it when the don't just look at it as a flip.
That's an essential part of not getting gentrified in a way you don't want to.
And that's the thing, yo. What happens is as we develop. As creators, as people who are marginalized, right, in these systems, that we start to learn how to self-preserve. I was telling somebody this the other day, like, everybody's self-preserving, bro, because the runaway capitalist society we live in is very dog-eat-dog, right? Capitalism is capitalism, that's cool, but, like, runaway, when there's, like, when Disney now owns Fox, they own Star Wars, when you live in that type of system, as you see stuff like that, you become, as you gain, you start to become more selfish because you gotta protect it. Cause
So are you saying you want to own property in Baltimore?
I know friends who own property in Baltimore right now that are from DC. You know what I mean? And I aspire to right, because I can afford it, right? Or it's closest to what I can afford, right? But the thing is, like, don't just get it to flip it when the value goes up. Then
get it to keep
because
it.
Because now we're just playing that same game, and then we're going to run to the next city.
Yeah.
Now we start becoming a gentrified. So, like, yo, like, Baltimore's there. It's right down the street. Like, in the scheme of things, right? It's right down the street. And, like, don't just look at it as a come up, though. Because then we're just as fucked up to the people. We should look at it as a place to, like, okay, if you had the chance right now to buy property in D.C. And just stay here.
Yeah.
Or just keep it, would you?
Yeah.
Right. But you only think like that in hindsight because you can't.
Because of what it is now.
Right. So now it's like, yo, so think about that when you're going into Baltimore, right? this is your chance to live close to to actually own it. You know what I mean? Because like, otherwise, where are you gonna go after that? Because you even further from DC, if you go to Philly, Pennsylvania, like you know what I mean? Like so when we go there and because we're naturally gonna raise the value, right? The gallery I open is gonna be. I was talking to a friend about this. He's like, "Yo, do you know comparing this neighborhood to Baltimore by the water?" And we're talking about the hood where we grew up in DC. He's like, same price, and the condos look crazy. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yo, so that's gonna be what's next. And I'm like, and he's like, yo, you got that spot. And so like you're
gonna help provide some of that sauce to make people want to move in there, to make that business
on accident, right? Because that's what we do as artists. Because we have cool creative ideas that make sense.
Make things cool.
I got this opportunity. Nobody has to take over this place that has momentum. I also have a lot of momentum in DC. Naturally, I'm just like 2 + 2 = 4. That's how I create, right? Oh, if I put this together, if I put Sir EU on the stage with UCB and DJ Damo, like, when have you seen that? You know what I mean?
See, this is why you're so valuable to the city at this point in time, is because you have perspective. And not all of us have this perspective of the globalist perspective that you have of seeing these big art places in Wynwood, in New York, in Miami, and you come back home and you see it in its infancy happening. Then you look at Baltimore and you see it about to happen. Like, you have so much perspective that is so valuable. And for that, like, I couldn't thank you enough. Like, that is why when you came here, we felt it, and why we were just like, this guy has something different. And it's that perspective that might have just changed someone's life who just heard all that stuff. Like, whoa, like,
I hope so.
Like that's how gentrification works. That's the process of how us as an artist provides value to these people who actually own the shit.
And that's the wild part, bro. Like, I've been through so many things like that. Like, yo, imagine like being told like, yo, do you want to work this Adidas event in Chicago? And you go and you're in Chicago where Kanye's from, and you find out it's the white on white Yeezys that dropped in his hometown. And then like, next thing you know, the creative director of Yeezy is asking you to put flowers on the back. You don't know none of that when you just say, yeah, I need to make some money.
That's crazy.
So, like, I come from the hood, bro. I come from Section 8, you know what I'm saying? Southern Avenue, Eastover, right? Like, so I've been so many places, getting stuck in Toronto for Christmas. Like, yo, my life has been just a random accumulation of perspective because, like, I was broke, or I have a broke mentality of never going back. So I'm like taking opportunity. And then if I'm in New York, and like, cause I think that energy you're talking about, I think I've even had it when I'm around like Jewish dudes who run like the film industry in New York. Cause I was a storyboard artist for a little while, and they were like, yo, the energy when you come in the room, you know what I mean? And so I like, but I think it's that hunger, bro, from like coming from where I'm from. And what happened was when I was a little kid, I traveled a lot. I was in the hood, but I went to Roswell, New Mexico. My grandmother on my dad's side owned apartment buildings there. So we stayed there for a while. I ended up living in Cali in high school for a little while because my dad's side was in LA. You know what I mean? I'm still a broke dude from DC, but I'm going and seeing all these, my dad's like building yachts and things like that. You know what I mean? I'm sitting on a yacht in Cali.
Yeah, it's like in a lot of ways, even though you're accomplishing so much and doing all these big things, you will still be that broke dude from DC in a weird way.
Always,
because that is what drives you, and when you look at yourself, that is what you see. Yeah. But all these amazing things go on.
Yeah, and I was just telling, I think it was Filthy I was talking to yesterday, but whoever, like bro, like you doing some things, and I'm like, bro, I don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, and like,
it's the best mentality to have, though.
Yeah.
That's what keeps you hungry. That's what makes you not sit on your laurels and it's past.
And that's what I'm saying about you. If you had that chance to get a place in DC right now, own it, keep it, you would. But it's
big
hindsight.
Facts.
It's hindsight, though. So I'm like, yo, remember that hindsight, and let's go to Baltimore and remember that, and not just flip it, because we're fucking it up. You know what I mean? Let's just really, you're gonna get the value no matter what, right? The thing is, if you can sell something for $2 million, that means it's worth $8, at least $4. No good business owner is not gonna do anything for less than. I think this
makes a lot of sense. This makes it. Now, when I was questioning about the Baltimore move, everything makes sense now. I see exactly what you're doing. You're seeing something. You're playing chess, and I was playing checkers at that moment. I get it. Like,
it's the closest I could be from home, and still leave out and see cityscape and like this and that, and get that same inspiration. Because if I go deep into Maryland, like what I associate with Maryland is not Baltimore. I associate like PG County, and then further into like, I don't know, those places like Southern Maryland, right? If you go to those places, you're isolated. you're not gonna be as inspired. You come outside and what is it? Other houses, trees, and or maybe a Walmart 10 minutes down the street.
Suburbia.
Right, exactly. So this is a close thing to keep that same spirit because it's a city, right? It has that whole ecosystem. People catching the bus, going to work. Like, it feels different, but you still can have that same chance of inspiration. So it's close. It's not far from home. I'm going to open a gallery called Not Far From Home. Come to my gallery show on March 7th is my birthday. Come chill with me on my birthday. Bring a gift. And then we got the carry-out, and we got some other stuff that is going to blow your mind.
Dude, I'm excited. Chris, I hope we can do this every year.
Yeah. Oh, I think we should probably.
I think we should every January. We should try to make it happen.
Next year, I think I'm gonna try to go to the bathroom like 12 times. So I'm gonna drink a bunch of coffee.
But I'm actually gonna give you laxatives next time.
True. Damn, G, I ain't drinking shit when I come in here. Amir, I ain't drinking shit in your spot. Hey, I ain't cursing in 2020.
All right, well, Chris,
edit that out. Bleep out all my curse words.
That is way too much post-processing work.
And shout outs to my whole team, everybody I work with.
Yeah.
I can't make nothing happen without you all. Shout outs to all the artists that allowed me to work with them. Shout outs to companies like Pabst Blue Ribbon, Nike, Adidas, who give me a chance, you know what I mean? And allow me to also to give other people a chance because it's fun.
Dude, I can't wait to see what you do this year, man.
Yeah, and you Hollywood.
Hey. All right, guys, until next time, that's it. That's the angle. Peace out. Woo!
Yes, sir.
All right, now you can take that piss.
I don't even have to now.